It was a sunlit Saturday morning in Willow Creek Estates, one of those picturesque suburban neighborhoods where every lawn is manicured to perfection and every mailbox looks like it was installed by the same person. Mark Jensen, a 38-year-old veteran and single father, had just gotten his youngest son off to his Little League game and returned home with a mission. His old but reliable Ford F-150 had survived mud, mountains, and more than a few spilled juice boxes. Today, it deserved a wash. Mark pulled the hose from its coil, popped a cold beer, and turned up some old-school rock from his Bluetooth speaker. The sun glinted off the water as it sprayed against the dusty paint. Mark was in his element, until the shadow fell across his driveway. "Excuse me," came a shrill voice, slicing through the harmony of soap and rock music. Mark turned, squinting past the sun. There she was, Karen Blakesley, chairwoman of the Willow Creek HOA and self-proclaimed enforcer of suburban order. Karen, in her signature wide-brimmed sun hat and oversized sunglasses, held a clipboard like a weapon. Her lips were pursed so tightly it looked painful. "You are in clear violation of Section 5.6.2 of the HOA Covenant," she barked. "Washing personal vehicles in driveways is strictly prohibited. You're causing water runoff and environmental impact." Mark blinked. "It's just water, Karen. I'm not draining motor oil into the sewer." Karen's eyes narrowed. "The rules are there, for a reason. If everyone just did what they wanted, this place would fall apart." Mark smirked. "I'm washing my truck. You want to write me up? Go ahead." She clicked her pen like she was cocking a gun and scribbled something down. "You'll be fined $150. Refusal to comply could lead to further action, including legal." Mark's blood boiled. This wasn't the first time Karen had harassed him. Last month, she cited him for having a flagpole in his front yard that was too tall. Before that, she left notes about his non-regulation garbage bins. But this was personal. Mark turned off the hose, wiped his hands, and met Karen's smug stare. "You know what? Let's call someone who can do something." Karen blinked. "What are you talking about?" Mark pulled out his phone and dialed. 911. "What's your emergency?" Karen's eyes went wide. 911. "What's your emergency?" Mark's voice was calm, but laced with steel. "Hi, I'd like to report harassment. I'm at my residence washing my personal vehicle, and a member of the HOA is on my property threatening me with fines and legal action over something that isn't a criminal offense. I feel targeted and unsafe." Karen gasped, yanking her sunglasses off. "You're wasting emergency resources." Mark raised an eyebrow, putting the phone on speaker. "Tell that to the dispatcher." Within 15 minutes, a patrol car pulled up. Officer Denise Harris, a tall, no-nonsense woman in her early 40s, stepped out. She'd responded to Willow Creek a few times, usually over noise complaints or teen skateboarding. This was new. Karen stormed up. "Officer, thank God. This man is violating HOA codes and called the police on me." Officer Harris held up a hand. "Let me talk to both of you, one at a time." Mark explained the situation, detailing Karen's long history of what he called selective enforcement. Karen, increasingly agitated, waved her clipboard like a badge. "He's undermining the entire system. If the HOA doesn't hold people accountable, the neighborhood will decay." Officer Harris listened, then nodded slowly. "Ma'am, HOA rules are civil agreements, not criminal law. Unless he's causing harm or breaking a law, there's nothing I can do. If you continue confronting him like this, it could be construed as harassment." Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Mark didn't smile, but his eyes said it all. The officer turned to leave. Karen, lips trembling with rage, hissed, "This isn't over." Mark watched her retreat, then looked at his truck. Soap still clung to the side. He picked up the hose and resumed washing, only this time with an audience, neighbors peeking through curtains, watching the drama unfold. That night, a new rule proposal went out via email, Section 7.3.4. Any homeowner who engages law enforcement over HOA disputes will be subject to review for neighborhood disruption. Mark forwarded it to his lawyer. The weeks that followed were tense. Karen, emboldened by her humiliation, doubled down. Mark received 3 more notices, one for having unsanctioned solar lights, another for excessively loud lawn equipment, and a final one alleging that his backyard fire pit violated open flame policies, despite being store-bought and certified. It wasn't just Mark, though. Neighbors began whispering. Old Mrs. Lindstrom got cited for her pink flamingos. The Rodriguezes were fined for their kids' chalk art on the sidewalk. Even the Mackenzies, longtime rule followers, got written up for having non-native plants. Mark had had enough. He organized a meeting, unofficial, of course, at the community center. Word spread like wildfire. On a humid Friday evening, over 40 residents showed up. "We can't live like this," Mark began. "This HOA is supposed to serve us, not act like a dictatorship. Karen has turned it into her personal fiefdom." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. One man raised his hand. "We pay dues. We should have a say." A woman near the back stood. "Did you know she hired her nephew to do the last landscaping contract? Charged double what we paid before." Outrage buzzed like hornets. Mark leaned forward. "Then let's do something about it. The bylaws state we can motion for a leadership recall with 30% of homeowner signatures. We have 40 people here tonight. That's more than enough." They formed the Willow Creek Reform Committee. Karen, meanwhile, grew increasingly paranoid. She began posting neighborhood watch notices, warning of suspicious gatherings. She patrolled the streets in her Lexus, peeking into yards. She even tried to get a restraining order against Mark, which was laughed out of court. But the pressure mounted. 3 months after the truck washing incident, the Reform Committee submitted their petition. Karen, flanked by 2 loyal board members, tried to reject it, citing improper formatting. Mark, now flanked by a lawyer and several local news reporters, handed over a printed copy of the HOA bylaws. The annual HOA meeting was packed. Every folding chair was taken. Karen sat at the front table, tight-lipped, arms folded. Mark took the microphone. "This isn't about washing a truck," he began. "It's about power, about fairness, about a community being run by fear, not cooperation. We don't want chaos, we want balance." Applause thundered. Karen stood to speak, but the room had shifted. Her allies were few. When the votes were counted, it was 89% in favor of recall. Karen stepped down, red-faced, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. The new board, led by a diverse group of residents, revised outdated policies, increased transparency, and reinstated fair hearings. The neighborhood healed. Mark still washed his truck every Saturday. Sometimes neighbors joined him. They'd chat, laugh, even bring their kids. One day, Officer Harris passed by, rolling her window down. "No water runoff today, I hope?" Mark grinned. "Only a little rebellion."